Shin, Ying, and Hasmah, ZANUDDINA. Do I pronounce correctly?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And their paper's title is The Public Situational Perception and Motivation in Predicting Communicative Action in Countering Fake News. Word is yours, Ying.
All right. Let me share the problem slide. Can you see my slides?
No.
Oh.
Are we having a technical problem?
Okay, let me stop sharing and
Okay.
reshare. Okay. So sorry.
It's not a problem.
What about now? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, hi everyone. Greetings from Malaysia. It is now 9 p.m. here. Okay, so today I'm going to present a topic with this title, Public Situational Perception and Motivation in Predicting Communicative Action in Countering Fake News. All right, so fake news is not a new issue, but it remains as a global concern nowadays, especially in this digital world. With the internet, with social media, people can simply create media online content. They can even create content which is not true, and they can even spread this information out, as I say, without verifying whether it is true or not. So this is one of the issues here. And in Malaysia, it's 63% of Malaysians worry about the truthfulness of online news, and they also find it quite hard to distinguish true and fake news. And as we know that fake news also can affect people in different aspects, psychologically and physically. Now, many countries have been tackling fake news using different approaches in different orientation. For example, through creating awareness, through media monitoring, through sanction or punishment. But the problem here is tackling or resolving fake news problem is not a one-man show. Okay, we cannot rely on any particular party to resolve this problem thoroughly. It requires collective effort from different stakeholders, especially the public. And I believe that in the past studies, or most past studies on fake news, they focus very much on the algorithm, how to detect fake news. But in my study, my focus is, I would like to know how to motivate the public to counter fake news. What can they do, and how do we motivate them? That's my focus, right? So in my study, I'm using situational theory of problem solving, or STOPS in short, by Kim and Grunick 2011. The reason why I use this theory is that this theory explains how people solve a problem in general using communicative action, right? And then what or how, why are they motivated to take communicative action? So in the past, this theory has been used in different social issues, but very limited in social fake news context. Therefore, I chose this theory for my study. Now, according to STOPS, the theory, it has 3 situational perceptions, and these are the 3 driving factors that I would like to see whether it has impact on the motivation to encountering fake news. The first is problem recognition. Now, problem recognition means that when people perceive a phenomenon, okay, or an incident, whether they perceive it as a problem. Now, putting it in my context, fake news context, whether public perceive fake news as a problem. Some might say yes, some might say no. So I wanted to see whether this factor, this perception, will affect the motivation in problem solving. That's number 1. Number 2 is constraint recognition. Constraint recognition means the perceived obstacles. or the restrictions that stop people from doing anything about the problem, the issue, which is fake news in my context. For example, if I think that, okay, fake news is a problem, but I don't know how to fact check, how to verify. It's so complicated, so hard to find out the truth. That could be one of the constraints for the public. Okay, that's the second factor. The last one is involvement recognition. Now, even though I perceive fake news as a problem, but it doesn't seem to affect me personally. It doesn't affect my life. It doesn't affect my loved ones, my siblings, my family members. So that could be one of the reasons, because people don't feel involved, okay, in this issue. They don't have this perceived connection between themselves and fake news. So that is my third driving factor. Okay. So next is the communicative action. As I said, how people counter fake news. Now the communicative action, according to STOPS, it comprises three information behaviors. The first is information seeking. We want people to, when they come across news that which they are not so sure whether it's true or not, okay, we want people to go and check it out, okay, find out the truth, or check with a reliable source, ask somebody, okay, to fact check, to verify. Okay, that's the first information behavior. The second behavior is information forwarding. We don't want people to find out the truth and keep the truth to themselves, right? We want people, the public, when they find out the truth, they share, okay, they share with others. They even can correct information or fake news spread by other people, right? So this is information forwarding, or even by by simple just a simple move. For example, leaving a comment under a fake news post on social media saying that this is fake. Okay, this is how we correct the fake news, or even share a link, ask others to fact check, okay, the post, that particular post using this link. That could be one of the examples of information forwarding, right? And the last one is information forwarding. Now, people can search for information. They can simply pick information from any sources. But information forwarding is we want people to be critically evaluating the source, to fence out, to filter this information, okay, find out the relevant, okay, and then those unverified, those not validated, okay, try to filter those information. So with these three information behaviors as communicative action in problem solving or in countering fake news in my study, I wanted to see whether the factors, okay, will lead to a motivation, and then motivation will contribute to this communicative action. There are two objectives in my study. The first is to examine the influence of the perception, okay, the situational perceptions, three perceptions on the situational motivation in problem solving. And the second objective is to examine the influence of situational motivation on the communicative action in problem solving. So only these two objectives. Now, this is my theoretical framework. Now, as I explained earlier, okay, I have three driving factors. So I wanted to see whether these three factors have relationship or influence on situational motivation. According to the theory, it is hypothesized as this, okay? Problem recognition has a positive relationship with motivation, which means when people have greater problem recognition, they will be more motivated to counter fake news. The second is negative relationship between constraint recognition and situational motivation. That means when people have greater constraint recognition, they have so much restriction, so much obstacles. And when they have these obstacles, they'll have lower motivation. So in order to boost motivation, we need to reduce the constraint recognition. So the relationship is negative. And the last one is positive relationship. When people feel that this piece of fake news can affect me or my family members. Okay, when people feel higher involvement recognition, they will have a greater motivation to solve the problem. Okay, this is a part for my first objective, and then the second objective is another part right here. So I would like to see whether this motivation contribute to all these three information behaviors under communicative action. And according to STOPS theory, they have a positive relationship, okay, in between motivation and information seeking, forwarding, and forwarding. Now, in my methodology, I use online survey. I adopted a quantitative approach. So I distributed my questionnaire through a Google form. And then in terms of the measurement, the items I adapted from Kim and Grid 2011, which is the theories, okay, of STOPS. And I managed to collect responses from 522 university students with composite alpha value more than 0.7. That means it's reliable. And finally, I use descriptive analysis and partially square structural equation modeling, PLS-SEM, to analyze my data to see whether there's a relationship in, among my variables. And here are my results. Now, if you look at this side, we can see that problem recognition and involvement recognition both have positive and significant relationship. Okay, that means they influence, they can predict motivation. And for constraint recognition, okay, it has negative and significant relationship with motivation. But if we compare all these three figures, the path coefficient, we can see that constraint recognition has the greatest prediction on motivation. And if we look at the other side, okay, we also can see that another three hypotheses supported here. That means when people are motivated to counter fake news, they are more likely to seek for more information, to verify, to fact check, and they will share, they will forward, they will tell people, they will correct those false information. And the last one is they'll be careful in selecting this information. So in conclusion, all six hypotheses were supported. And I believe that the input or the results of my study could contribute to the strategy planning in anti-fake news campaign in future. Because I believe that these findings can actually, produce a good input, because in any party, for example, the authority, the government, a government agency, or even NGO, if you want to organize intervention program, communication program, or any campaign to fight fake news, I believe that it's very important to formulate a good message. And if we just simply, generally urge the public to stop spreading, stop creating, or stop believing in news that they read online, okay, that will be not, how to say, it's very hard to target, okay, the right point. So with the finding of my study, I believe that if you look at the three driving factors, for example, the constraint recognition, if people feel that it's very hard to fact check, so in this intervention campaign, perhaps the event organizer or the campaign can focus on how to simplify the steps, or how do we promote that fact checking is a very simple step where everyone can do it to contribute to countering fake news. Okay, that could be one of the examples. And what if we can also consider problem recognition or involvement recognition? Okay, maybe in problem recognition, people don't think that fake news is a problem. So in event, okay, in a campaign, we may need to problematize fake news. Maybe we can show more impacts, okay, of fake news, or how fake news can affect the public. So from there, people, when perceive that when they're exposed to this information, they'll be more motivated to counter fake news through the three information behaviors which I've explained. And that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation in efficient time use and a personal comment for your background, very refreshing and hopeful background of yours. Thank you. Now, if you have any questions to any presenters, you can unmute your phone or start your camera, or you just can write your question to the chat box. Let me open my chat box here. Has anyone any question to our presenters? Khadija, do I have a problem about seeing the chat box of our chat room, our Zoom room? Is there any possibility about that? I cannot hear your voice.
It's not a problem.
Can you repeat it, please? Am I seeing the right chat room? Because the last thing I see here, I read is from Deniz Karcı to everyone. Is that right?
Yeah, the last message was from Huey Dennis to everyone. That's the last one.
In fact, you have no questions. I have some questions for you. I have a question for Deniz Karcı. You have mentioned that you and your students have made a digital detox before this study. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, okay. How did it affect the study, the results of the study?
Yeah.
Any measures about that?
Yeah, it affected the conclusion part. We can say that because as firstly, I would like to share my screen again, if you let me. Just wait, sorry. You see, in my conclusion part, I stated that the most effective element of the JISC model was communication, collaboration, and participation. So we see that the students who, sorry, I want to turn back again. I want to see you. All right. So we see that when we practiced in the course, during the course, such as Netiquette Challenge or digital detoxing, so they were much willing to take action, the last step of the skills. So they stated that, I'm going to show it in the full text. They stated that they some practicing like such as digital detoxing motivates them to collaborate and cooperate, communicate with other people, and participate.
So there's a positive effect on the study. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to all participants and presenters for joining. As a last word, I would like to remind that there will be a keynote speech at 8 p.m. Professor Seher Kamis's keynote speech. I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.